Sean Diddy Combs built an empire on music, fame, and money, but now it's unraveling in a federal courtroom. What started as whispers in the shadows has exploded into one of the most disturbing trials in music history. For 5 weeks, the world's been hearing from a woman known only as Jane, a former girlfriend who says she was emotionally manipulated, paid off, and pushed into horrifying acts, all while Diddy called it just part of the lifestyle. She says she was love-bombed, coerced, and used like a pawn to satisfy twisted fantasies. And the details? They're darker than anyone imagined. This is no tabloid scandal. This is a federal case, with racketeering, trafficking, and years of alleged abuse laid out in shocking detail. And we're breaking it all down, right now. By the fall of 2023, something in Jane had changed. After years of twisted intimacy, blurred lines, and what she described as psychological warfare, she wasn't just burned out, she was breaking down. She testified that Combs had promised their trip to New York would be different. No hotel nights, just the two of them, a real getaway. Jane wanted to believe him. But halfway through the flight, her phone lit up with that now familiar dread. "I have a surprise if that's okay, just one." Jane told the court she felt her chest tighten. She already knew what the surprise was. Another man, another setup, another night. That trip didn't just break her expectations. It broke something deeper. Later, she would send Combs a text that the jury saw on screen, the kind of message that doesn't come from anger, but from total exhaustion. "I'm not a P-star, I'm not an animal, I need a break. I don't want to do anything, I've hit a wall. It's been 3 years of me having to F strangers. I'm tired." Combs didn't offer comfort. He didn't ask what was wrong. He just replied, "So, we're breaking up?" In court, Jane said she wasn't trying to end things. Not yet. "I was trying to stop all of it," she said through tears. The hotel nights, the strangers, the pressure. And then came the message that silenced the courtroom. "My spirit and my soul is tired. I need a break. I can't be used like this anymore. I wanted to make you happy, but it's creating a war inside me." At that moment, Jane wasn't just a witness. She was a woman collapsing under years of quiet suffering, and she said Combs knew it. Still, the rent was paid. The messages kept coming. The cycle hadn't ended, because in Combs' world there was always one more promise, one more night, one more surprise. By now, the pattern was undeniable. Every gift came with a cost, every promise had a condition, and every escape attempt was met with something stronger than chains: dependence. Jane testified that Sean Combs had been paying her $10,000 a month in rent since early 2023. On paper, it looked like generosity. In reality, she said, it was leverage. "At any given opportunity, Sean was just hovering the house over my head," she told the jury. "It always felt like he wanted me to know that he was doing this for me, all the time." This wasn't a boyfriend. It was a landlord, a puppet master, a man who, Jane claimed, used kindness as currency to keep her locked in place. She described how even simple requests, like money to finish furnishing her home, would be met with explosive voice notes. One message from Combs played for the court was blunt: "I'm telling you, leave me the F alone." Another text Jane sent to him read like a final cry for help. "I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies." But Diddy wasn't moved. His response? That was podcast talk. "I'm tired of your false accusations." Behind the scenes, prosecutors said Combs portrayed himself as a provider, offering Jane the world. But Jane's testimony painted a much darker reality, one where she was financially trapped and emotionally manipulated, where silence was expected in exchange for survival. And just when she thought she'd seen it all, Jane claimed that during a trip to New York in September 2023, after yet another broken promise, Combs gave her something else: COVID. According to her testimony, she left that trip sick, shattered, and finally certain of one thing: This wasn't love. It wasn't a relationship. It was control. By the 5th week of explosive testimony, the courtroom had heard stories of manipulation, emotional abuse, and disturbing and unwanted encounters. But now, it was the defense's turn to strike back, and they didn't hold back. Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, painted a radically different picture. He argued that this wasn't trafficking. It was a consensual lifestyle, one that Jane had willingly participated in. Sean Combs is not a predator, Agnifilo said. He's a participant in a swinger lifestyle. These were adults making adult choices. The defense emphasized that Jane was never physically forced to do anything. They pointed to her acceptance of lavish gifts, her continued contact with Combs, and even the financial support he provided, including that $10,000 a month rent, as proof that the relationship, while unconventional, was not criminal, and they didn't stop there. When another witness, Brianna Bongolan, took the stand and claimed Combs once dangled her off a balcony during a fight at Cassie Ventura's apartment, the defense hit the brakes hard. Agnifilo moved immediately for a mistrial, arguing that the story couldn't be true. Hotel records, they claimed, proved Combs was in New York that night, not Los Angeles. The government knowingly introduced false testimony, Agnifilo told the court, suggesting that the entire case was tainted by unreliable witnesses and emotional manipulation. But federal prosecutors weren't backing down. They promised to address the claims and respond to the mistrial motion. Judge Aaron Subramanian said he would rule on it soon. Back in the courtroom, the jury sat in silence, hearing two sharply opposing stories. Was Diddy a manipulative abuser hiding behind fame and power? Or was he the victim of bitter exes, misremembered encounters, and a sensationalized trial? Either way, the public's perception was already shifting, and what came next could decide everything. As the trial heads into its 6th week, the courtroom isn't just weighing testimony, it's untangling a decade of power, control, and blurred boundaries. More witnesses are expected, more accusations could surface, and more questions will be raised that go far beyond Sean Combs himself. What's already clear is that this case has cracked open the glamorous facade of celebrity culture and exposed a darker undercurrent, where wealth, fame, and silence can intertwine in deeply troubling ways. The prosecution insists that Combs led a calculated and coercive operation, that women, including Jane, weren't partners in pleasure, but pawns in a disturbing game. The defense says otherwise, that Jane and others knew exactly what they were getting into, that this was an unconventional relationship, not a criminal conspiracy, and that the government is stretching the truth to land a high-profile conviction. But public opinion isn't waiting for a verdict. Online, the Court of Social Media has already begun its own trial. Hashtags trend daily. Old clips of Combs go viral. Even his music, once a symbol of 2000 swagger, is now being re-examined with new eyes. And for Jane, her testimony has painted a harrowing picture of a woman lost in a lifestyle she never truly consented to. Her texts, her tears, and her trauma now echo far beyond the courtroom. "I'm not a P-star. I'm not an animal. I need a break," she said. "My spirit and my soul are tired." It's a message that's hard to forget, and one that may define the legacy of this trial, no matter the outcome. What happens next? A possible mistrial, more bombshell testimony, or even a stunning verdict. But one thing's certain, this isn't just about Sean Combs anymore. It's about power, control, and the price of silence in an industry built on image. And the full truth, it might never come out. That's all for this video on the Diddler. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, or else you might be receiving a visit from the Diddler himself. Okay, bye!